energized, and there are people out there, and what I'm trying to do with this effort right now, with the primaries in particular, is do two things at once. One, make sure that we're handling, the conflicts within our own party productively in seats that do not risk us losing the majority, while also making sure that we make Hakeem Jeffries the next Speaker of the House by rallying our base and giving people something to vote for. We cannot just be the party that is against Donald Trump. We have to be a party that doesn't have a 27% approval rating from our own base. That is not a survivable future. And the way that we change that is making sure that we have some different characters. We talk in Democratic politics all the time about it's the messaging, it's the messaging, it's the messaging. You can have Shakespeare write the best script in the world. If you have bad actors, it doesn't matter.
So let me just follow up for a second, because you're talking about this effort that you're leading that's going to include going after Democratic incumbents. You say in safe seats,
yeah.
in safe seats, because it's time to get, we had this seniority politics. You're trying to get some fresh blood into the Democratic system. You heard Hakeem Jeffries. He actually seemed a little irritated with you or with the effort. He's like, I think we should focus on beating Republicans, not on beating Democrats.
I think it's going to be a hell of a lot harder for us to defeat Republicans with a 27% approval rating.
Boy. So once again, we got to talk about the best soap opera on national news television today, which is the downfall of the Democrat Party. Okay, this is my favorite soap opera. I mean, it is a classic, to be honest with you, like The Young and the Restless or The Bold and the Beautiful, okay, or As the World Turns, General Hospital, right? That is the type of drama that Democrats are providing people like me, okay? I love this story because the Democrats, they're on the verge of complete and total collapse, okay? This is not an exaggeration, okay? If you pay attention to their approval ratings, they have the lowest approval ratings in the country, and it's not even close. They're at the bottom, right? The bottom of the barrel.
But let me ask you about a Gallup poll that came out recently, asking people how much confidence they have in various people to deal with the economy. And Donald Trump, only 44% have a great deal or fair amount of confidence. But that was GOP leaders were next, the Fed chairman, the Speaker of the House. And when you get down to the bottom, Democratic leaders, Chuck Schumer, down at the bottom, you at only 30%. So what do Democrats have to do to convince the American people that they have a better plan on the economy than the Republicans?
Well, this week, we'll be having a cost of living week of action, and we have to continue to talk to the American people about our plans. We recognize that housing costs are too high, grocery costs are too high, utility costs are too high, child care costs are too high, insurance costs are too high. America is too expensive.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because of the policies of the Democrat Party over the last 4 years, right? That is why America has become too expensive. Democrat policies, okay? That's what Democrats don't understand when they come out here and they pretend as if they actually have some type of good alternative to what President Trump is doing. You had your chance, right? You had 4 years and you blew it. In fact, you did so bad. This is the primary reason why you got voted out, okay? So you just need to sit tight, okay? Sit in a little corner and allow the adults to run things, okay? And we're going to see the results of President Trump's economic policies in about a year or so. In fact, I'm going to do a video later today specifically about what the GOP is doing so that everybody understands exactly where we're at when it comes to the GOP's economic package, okay, and what they really want to do. So with that being said, the Democrats, they are facing a crisis, okay, because of leadership like Hakeem Jeffries being completely and totally ineffective, okay? His approval rating is much lower than President Trump. But I don't think President Trump is the biggest problem for the establishment Democrats, right? It's actually the far left, okay? It's actually their own party, okay? Like, for example, David Hogg, who has come out and pissed off a lot of Democrats in leadership because as vice chair of the DNC, David Hogg has decided that he's going to use millions of dollars to primary Democrats who are not woke enough, right? So if the Democrats aren't woke enough, then David Hogg is going to try to have them removed, okay, which would be terrible for the Democrat Party because essentially what it would do is that it means more lunatics will be elected into Congress, right? And the more lunatics that are elected into Congress, that's going to be bad for the Democrats in regards to winning, okay, general elections. But, you know, hey, David Hogg is going to continue with his plan and his strategy. And I want to react to this clip here from the ABC Roundtable, in which the ex-RNC chair, Reince Priebus, is going to set David Hogg straight. He's going to put David Hogg in his place when it comes to the fact that, hey, what you're doing is kind of stupid, right? I mean, it kind of plays into Republicans' hands. But also on top of that, everything that you stand for, okay, as DNC chair is why the Democrats are losing, okay? So this is actually a pretty hilarious clip. Without further ado, let's get into it.
We're in a crisis. I don't know if we want to call it a constitutional crisis, but we're in, as former President Biden was here, an inflection point. Look, I think what David is trying to do is to not just help to re-energize the party, but to help rebrand the Democratic Party. The concern that officers of the DNC right now, they have signed the neutrality pledge. David did not sign the neutrality pledge. So he's in hot water with Ken. I told him he threw a rock in the water, and him and the two of them and the officers, they got to get out of the hot water. But that's not my position right now. My position is many of these so-called safe blue seats, and I can get in trouble. Many of them are seats that women and minorities finally had an opportunity to come and sit in because there were no seats at the table for us. So before you start wiping clean the menu and the plates and the seats, be very careful because many of those seats are in
As a
districts where we
former
are.
party chairman.
Wow. So basically she's saying, hey, be careful because, you know, those deep blue seats, a lot of so-called black and brown people are in those deep blue seats. So, you know, we need to be careful before we start primarying those people. But hey, you know, this is what the Democrats have chosen, right? They've chosen to become more insane, right? Literally their leadership, David Hogg, right, who they voted for, right? This is who they voted for, has said that the Democrats need to be more woke, right? They're not woke enough, even though wokeness is part of the reason why they lost. But hey, you know, if this is the path they want to go down, I'm totally cool with it.
Reince, how would you handle a vice chair who was going to primary?
Well, I'll answer and then I'll explain it. I mean, unfortunately, David, I'd have you removed from the party because I think, number one, I think you're sincere. I don't question that. I think you're right. The Democrats are a complete mess. They have no movement.
I don't think that's exactly what he said.
They've got no. Well, he said they've got no message. They've got no movement. They've got no leader. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. I mean, you're defending Harvard. You're traveling to El Salvador for MS-13 gang members. But here's the point.
Alleged.
You're taking $20 million. If I'm looking at someone, my vice chair of the RNC, taking $20 million for another effort, it's $20 million out of the DNC's pocket. You can't be on the board of the Fishing and Forest Company and on Greenpeace at the same time. There are places for groups to hold the party accountable. I think it's right.
Yeah,
let me push back against that.
ahead.
This was not an MS-13 gang member, and you damn well know that.
Oh, come on.
He was not.
Okay,
and
so
the
keep defending this guy.
The
You're just
administration
digging
admitted
your
this
own
was wrong.
hole.
In America, we have
and
due
he's got a
process, and we
tattoo
are a
on his
land of
hand,
law
and he's here
and
illegally.
order. We are a land of law and order. And this administration is repeatedly showing time and time again they do not care about what the Supreme Court says. They do not care about the rule of law. And you cannot defend sending people to another
CNN
country.
just did a poll that
to
said
another
that
country where they
most
don't have
Americans
rights,
think
where
that
he's being
all
denied
illegal
counsel,
immigrants
due process,
should be
and so much
deported,
more.
by the way. So you're losing your effort. So if you want to try to defend the constitutionality of deporting a illegal immigrant that's here,
He took a lot of time to come every single year.
He's here illegally. The
checked in
Intel community, every Intel community agency and the White House say he is a member of MS-13.
Hey, Reince. Okay, Reince. You made your point.
And you're losing the political argument.
Okay.
Why can't we
You can't win this.
Well, there is a constitutional real fast.
Look, so, you know, this is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. This is why I say it's almost damned if you do, damned if you don't for Democrats, right? Hakeem Jeffries is a lunatic. Chuck Schumer is a lunatic. David Hogg is a lunatic, right? Like, I mean, let's be real. The whole party is just full of lunatics. All of them believe that it's a good idea to go and rescue illegal immigrants to bring them back into the United States of America. And none of them realize that, hey, this is probably not a good look. This is probably not something we should be doing right now, okay? It's hard to convince the American people that we have responsible immigration policies, right? That we're serious about securing the border, which is what the American people want, okay? We're serious about deporting illegal immigrants, which is what the American people want. It's hard to convince the American people you're serious about this when you keep taking these crazy stances, right? That's what doesn't make sense to me. They're taking stances that are indefensible. How do you defend this? Do you really think it's a good look to be going over to El Salvador to try to save an illegal immigrant gang member? Do they really believe that? Apparently they do, right? You just saw David Hogg. He got real passionate about this illegal immigrant, right? And bringing them back into America. These are the people running the Democrat Party. This is why it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because even if the establishment Democrats maintain control of the party, it doesn't matter because they're still too far left. Unless they decide to move to the right, they're cooked. They're cooked. So, again, all of this is it's just funny to me. I love this infighting. Absolutely love it.
The two parties want to make this about two very different arguments. Obviously, the GOP wants to make this a more narrow case about the nature of this individual because the politics there speak for themselves. Obviously not popular. The Democrats want to make this about the broader point, the Constitution and due process, and it's not about the individual who perhaps in this case is inconvenient. It's about the principle. Here's why it actually matters beyond those two arguments. It's what Trump wants to do, which is deport American citizens who commit crimes to foreign prisons. Don't take my word for it. He said it himself twice now. That's where this is going. This is a test case for Trump to get Americans out of the country.
So do you really think that deporting illegal immigrants is going to lead to deporting Americans? Really? Here's the thing. I think that President Trump is trolling. I don't think that would happen, right? I don't think that the Trump administration would start deporting Americans to El Salvador, right? And to put them in that maximum security prison, even though personally speaking, hey, if we're talking about convicted murderers, right? The worst of the worst people, again, if they've already been convicted, I personally am like, hey, I don't mind getting rid of them. But at the same time, it's not one of those things that I think is realistic. I think that they're now trying to say that, well, President Trump is going to deport Americans. He's going to deport black people. This is what they were saying on MSNBC as a way to get people to agree or to sympathize with the illegal immigrant, because they know that trying to make it about the illegal immigrant is not a winning message. So they're trying to fearmonger people into believing that, hey, even if you are an American citizen, you can be deported to El Salvador. And that's not going to happen, right? That's not going to happen. Not unless they're a convicted criminal. But even that is probably very unlikely to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I think President Trump is trolling when it comes to that, because he knows that he's going to get this response, right? These people are going to start freaking out and boo-hooing and crying. So, it's just funny to me to watch Democrats have to take these stances that they would have avoided had they not been Trump deranged. But they have to take these stances because at this point, they are just a opposition party against Trump. They don't believe in anything except being against Trump. That's it. They have no ideology outside of whatever President Trump likes, they don't like, right? That's essentially where they're at as a party. So there's a whole lot of backlash that David Hogg is getting. Okay, Democrats are in full-blown panic mode. They're really upset about David Hogg. However, this is who Democrats choose to get in bed with, right? They chose to get in bed with people like David Hogg, radical extremists. And now the radical extremists are taking over the party and Democrats are panicking, right? They're upset that their monster, the monster that they created, is starting to eat the Democrat party. Like literally, they are now getting Democrats voted out, right? Getting them voted out. So this is why I don't think there's a good outcome to this civil war between Democrat Party. Some people think that, it's going to end up just like the Republican Party, the MAGA takeover of the Republican Party. Well, see, here's the difference, right? MAGA is not a far-right movement, okay? MAGA honestly probably made the Republican Party more moderate, right, on some issues, okay? Now, on some issues, MAGA made the Republican Party more extreme, quote-unquote, like, for example, immigration, but that is something that the American people agree with, right? The American people want the illegals deported, okay? So it pushed the Republican Party in the right direction on a lot of issues, right? It didn't make the Republican Party more extreme. It actually made the Republican Party more populist, okay? That is probably an accurate description of what MAGA did to the Republican Party. On the other hand, for the Democrat Party, they're too far left, and the far left is trying to make the establishment even more far left. That is not good, okay? I mean, they're making the Democrats more extreme. It's one thing if they were making the Democrats more moderate, okay? But that's not what's happening here, okay? So that is the difference. And that's why I don't think that ultimately this is going to be good for the Democrat Party, because I'm not sure how is it that the Democrats move to the right when all this is said and done? I don't think they have the choice of moving to the right. Even if they wanted to move to the right, they want to stay where they're at. But even where they're at right now is too far left. And that is the conundrum that they're currently facing. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.